Hi there, and welcome to the Homestead Education Podcast. Do you have a homestead, a farm, or maybe just believe we have a right to the freedom of wholesome food? This is a show for families who believe everyone deserves an agricultural education to understand their food, land, and responsibility at a scale that fits real life. I'm your host, Kody Hanner. I'm a homesteader, a homeschool mom of 6, and an agricultural educator who spent years teaching families how to build real skills outside of broken systems. I was raised by an old school rancher and blessed by the grace of God to have been shaped by small town life, where food, work, and responsibility weren't dreams, they were just how you lived. This season, we're digging into how accessible small-scale agricultural education can build capable people, strengthen local food systems, and create meaningful change far beyond the homestead. Join me each week as we talk about food systems, education, and the real-world skills every generation needs, taught in ways that actually make sense. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Homestead Education Podcast. Today, I have my friend Mary Lewis from a Tiny Homestead Podcast on, and we are just going to talk all things homesteading. And I'm really excited to have this chat because I've been really diving into the agriculture end of things, and I really talk about specific things on the homestead, but I haven't really had a chance to just chat with somebody about our homestead, how our homesteads run. So thank you for joining me today, Mary.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Kody. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've been really excited for this chat. Do you want to just give everybody a little bit about you, and we'll kind of go from there?
Okay, I am 56 years old. I always say that because people are like, you started a homestead when you were 50? What? So 56 now. And my husband and I live in Leesore, Minnesota, in the middle of basically cornfields and soybean fields. Our nearest neighbors are about a quarter mile away, which is miraculously wonderful.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
And we have chickens, we have barn cats, we have a farm to market garden, and we have the most perfect dog in the entire world.
Oh, I always love that. We have 6 dogs right now, but we just lost our Great Pyrenees and had to replace him, and I'm very, very sad about that.
It's so hard when you lose a love of your life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, okay, you started right off the bat with, you started a homestead at 50, but I love that. So tell me what prompted you to make that change.
Okay, the honest to God truth is I just didn't want to live in town anymore.
I
I
don't blame you.
Our neighbors, literally, Kody, the house to the right of our house in town, if you were looking at the front of our house, you could stand between the two houses and touch the outside walls with your fingertips.
Oh my gosh, I just got that anxiety
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean,
And
I
then
go to the city for the weekend and I'm like, nope, I'm out. Can't wait to get back to my homestead where there's no one around me.
yes, and then the neighbor to the left, looking at the front of the house we used to live in, her kitchen window fronted across from our side porch. We had a porch on the side of our house.
Oh.
We could literally chat with her through her kitchen window while she was doing dishes, and we were sitting on our porch drinking coffee.
Well, now if you had both of your kitchen windows facing each other, then you could chat during dishes and that could be cool.
Yeah, I wish it had been set up that way, but it wasn't. And do not misunderstand me. I love her. She's a great neighbor, but I just felt like we were living our lives in a fishbowl. And I am
Mm-hmm.
not good with living in my life in a fishbowl. And we just wanted to have the room to stretch with the homesteading skills we had already learned at the old place.
Right. Well, and I mean, I think there's something to that because you kind of talked about getting to be, we were chatting a little bit before, and you also are doing this as an empty nester. So you really have that time to dive in without, chasing homework and baseball practice.
Yeah, my kids were never really into sports. They were into theater.
Oh,
So
okay. Same
we didn't have
difference.
we didn't have the crazy extracurriculars that lots of families have. But but yeah, I just it's so hard when people ask me why we did it because I was brought up not knowing that homesteading was something that people didn't do.
Okay.
My parents had a house on an acre, and they heated with a wood stove in the wintertime. So we were always helping dad move wood downstairs for the winter.
Yep.
And they had a garden. So we were always helping out with the garden. And my mom was big on making use of what nature provides. So when the blueberries were in season, we were picking blueberries. When the strawberry fields were full, we were picking strawberries. When the blackberry bushes in the gravel pit were producing, we were picking blackberries. So I didn't know that everybody didn't do this.
Yeah. I kind of grew up like similar. Well, like we had a cattle ranch and we were on 1,800 acres. But that was, that was just part of our lives. We we had a garden, we processed all of our own meat, we worked the ranch. My mom was actually a taxidermist, so like she was kind of doing her own thing too.
Yeah.
And yeah, then when I started school and really started like talking to other kids or having kids home for the weekend, that's when I realized that we were different. Not
Yeah.
even like not in a bad way or anything, but that wasn't what everybody else was doing.
Yeah. I knew that I was very different when I moved in with my husband. He was not my husband at that time, but became my husband
Hmm.
in the house we lived in before the one we live in now. And it was it was a 4-car garage and a 850 square foot house on a tenth of an acre. And there were no flowers, there were no vegetable plants, there was nothing except a big old rhubarb patch that had been there and no one ever got rid of it. And when I realized that, oh, we actually do have some room to plant some things that would feed us, I was like, how do you feel about tilling up the backyard and getting rid of the crabgrass and the weeds and putting in plants that will feed us? And my husband was like, I think that is the brightest idea I've ever heard. And so
Oh,
we did.
nice.
And our neighbors thought we were crazy until we walked around the neighborhood with bags of cucumbers and tomatoes. And we're like, would you like some tomatoes and cucumbers we grew? And everybody was like, yes, ma'am. So
I,
then it wasn't weird anymore.
I actually found a new parable the other day. If you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. If you teach a woman to garden, the entire neighborhood gets zucchini.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. In
And
our
then
case, it was tomatoes and cucumbers.
I didn't have any zucchinis 2 years ago in my garden, which made me very sad. Because I mean, we process a lot of zucchini. I make chips out of it. I shred it to have bread all winter long. We eat it in all of our summer dishes. Like it's kind of the kids even, they take the really big ones and they run it through the fry machine and freeze them. And then they do like ranch fries and stuff for their like snacks.
Yes. Yes.
And we didn't have any zucchinis. And I was actually asking people to give me zucchinis that year. I was like, I'll just leave my window down at the grocery store and you can just sneak them in. It's fine.
Please put it in my car. Please leave
Right.
it on my doorstep. Please put it in the porch. Yes.
I was like, I think this is like the reverse of what everybody else feels in gardening time.
Hmm. I'm so excited that it is now rolling into spring.
I'm excited, but feeling a little, I was kind of mentioning before the podcast, it's been a really rough season of life, and I have not started a single seed. And like my celery should have been started almost 2 months ago, and my tomatoes should have been started about a week ago. And I
Hmm.
haven't touched anything. And I'm like, it might just be one of those years where I plant what I can via seed, and I'm gonna be buying a few things from, the neighbor, the nursery in town or something, because sometimes life just doesn't allow for me to start the, 500 plants that I start every year.
Yeah. And honestly, there's no right or wrong as long as you have food that you're growing.
Hmm. And I think that's a big question, a big thing that people run into. Like I was in Seattle this weekend. It's actually outside of Seattle in a town called Puyallup. I'm probably saying that really, really bad. And someone's going to be listening to this and being like, "Woman, you came here and you didn't even learn the name of our town." But there's a lot of really weird named towns over there.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we had this event, it was in the big agriplex, and I was like, man, I don't know what kind of turnout there's going to be because, I mean, we're in Seattle and there's some strange things happening in Seattle.
Hmm.
And the place was packed. But they would come in and come straight to me, and because I was one of the first booths when they came in, and say, "Well, we're wannabe homesteaders. We only have a small garden and chickens." And I'm like, I mean, homesteading, self-sufficiency, that's a sliding scale. And, you guys are pushing yourself right up that scale. And that's exactly what we all need to be doing is just like moving that ticker just a little bit.
Yeah, I just said to my co-host on the other podcast that I do, the Grace and the Heartland one today, that you're not a gourmet cook when you first start to learn to cook, and you don't have to have 100 acres and I don't know, 100 head of cattle and grow
No, not at
corn
all.
and all the things when you first start. That's not how this works.
Yeah, and I mean, I think people really like they think, okay, if I want to have beef, I have to have a cow and a bull, and then I have to raise the bee, raise the calf and butcher it and all that stuff. Like the average family, one beef a year is plenty. So
Oh yeah.
you could buy it from a neighbor or you could buy a steer and feed it out. Like it's not, you don't have to have the acreage to run that many head of cattle.
No, that's a ranch. That's not a homestead.
Right. Oh, then I might have it wrong because I have a whole bunch out there.
Uh-huh. No, I always tell people that homesteading is it's a mindset and it's a lifestyle choice. It's
Hmm.
not how much land you have, it's not how many animals you have. It's doing what you can with what you have where you are.
Yeah, I mean, you could be a homesteader living in, downtown Seattle, or I did a talk recently in Denver on urban homesteading and how to just build community and to get the foods that you want and then what you can grow like in your windowsills or, go, take your girlfriends out of town for the weekend and get as many peaches as you can fit in the back of your truck and come home and can peaches all weekend and make a weekend of it with your girlfriends.
Hmm. Yeah, one of the first things that we learned to do many years ago now, my husband worked in downtown Minneapolis, and there is I don't know what the name of it is, but he called it the Commons, and it was a big open space, and people had like kiosks and booths, and they would sell their wares.
Hmm.
And it was March or April, and he sent me a picture on my cell phone, and I said, why are you sending me a picture of 4 flats of strawberries? And he said, because I just bought them for $5 a flat, and I'm bringing them
Oh,
home, and
wow.
we're making strawberry jam this weekend. And
That's exciting.
that was the first time that I was like, oh, we're really doing these things. Like we're really learning these things. And 4 kids at the time. So I mean, we made maybe 8 jars of jam because the kids ate a ton of the strawberries.
Well, at least the kids were fed.
Hmm. Exactly. But I I vividly remember to this day getting that jam made with him. And we didn't have a table in our kitchen. We had a kitchen table in our living room because we had a galley style kitchen.
Mm.
And so we basically brought bowls in and put them on the table, cutting boards, and just chopped, hulled and chopped strawberries for hours.
Oh, I'm
And
sure.
once we had the jars actually canned and listening to them ping when they sealed and going out and looking at the sunlight through that jam, I don't know. I just felt like, oh my God, we have arrived.
Right? Man, what a nice feeling.
Yeah, one of my favorite memories in that house.
I think I have like when we first moved to our property, the grapes were ripe. And I mean, we were so excited, like we could have all these grapes. And we had like 5 kids at the time. I was pregnant, and we had moved here to grow all of our own food. So to show up and already have something ripe on our property was just beyond exciting.
Absolutely, it is.
And we ended up, I think we processed 500 pounds of grapes over that week. I
Oh
mean,
my
we
God.
we weren't even unpacked yet. The only thing we unpacked was our canning stuff and like our bedding.
Wow.
And I have pictures of it. The kids still remember it. I mean, it was just, and there was like, I had, those big storage containers that that you put in the garage or something. We had like four of those full of grapes in our kitchen. And we still do that every year. And it just depends on what season of life we're in, what those bins are full of. Sometimes it's all the meat out of our freezer. Sometimes it's a deer the neighbor killed. Sometimes it's apples. Sometimes it's grapes. And it always feels so abundant.
Yes. And I'm going to tell you something funny that my husband said to me the second or third summer, so 2, 3 years ago, when we were in the new house. We have before the new house and after the new house. We're in the after the new house stage now. And
I always say in my previous life.
yeah, however, before or after, this is where we are now. We have the only thing original to this remodeled farmhouse is the old pantry cabinets. And
Oh,
we had canned peach jam is what we're calling it, but it was like apple butter, only peach butter,
uh-huh.
and tomato sauce and strawberry jam, and I don't even remember now, but we had like half of those cabinets just full of canned goods that we had done that summer. And I was so proud of it, and I took photos. And I showed
Oh,
my husband the photos, and I said, I really want to post these on Facebook. And he said, I get it. He said, but please don't. And I thought he was crazy. I looked at him. I must have looked like I must have looked at him like he'd grown a second head. And he said, honey,
yeah.
he said, I know how proud you are of this. He said, we worked our asses off for this. And I said, yeah. He said, but he said, do you really want to broadcast to everyone nearby that we have all this food in the house?
Ooh, his tinfoil hat came out.
And I was like, kind of, sort of do, yeah. And he said, please don't. He said, people assume that people who live in the country do things like this. He said, just let them assume. I was like, okay, fine. So then I sent the pictures to my mom and I was like, you gonna come steal my food? And she said, no.
Oh, that's funny.
But it was so pretty in that cabinet of all these things that we had done together.
Right, I love when there's all the different colors. And our
Mm,
cabinet is like right across from a window that like where the sun goes down.
yeah,
If I have my pantry doors open, all the light like goes through all the different colors on the cans.
it's like jewels.
Yeah, I feel like I literally feel rich.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um,
My living room looks out over our garden. And
hmm.
in May, we plant everything that can be planted May 15th at the latest, hopefully. And it looks like nothing. It's just these little green dots in the black dirt.
Hmm.
And by mid-June, it is lush and beautiful and everything's healthy and the bugs haven't gotten to anything yet. And the weeds haven't really taken over yet.
Right.
That's my favorite view out that window because by the 1st of August, it looks like a jungle.
Oh yeah. It looks like do you ever actually weed your garden?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're like, yes, I was out there yesterday.
Yep. The hardest thing last year is it rained for 3 and 4 days in a row, and then it would be really hot for two or
Yeah.
three days. Not a single cucumber last year.
Oh,
The
we just
blight
had
took
the hard
over.
time because it rained so late into the year and it was so cold so late into the year that I got the garden in late, but then, yeah, the weeds were so intense and I couldn't get out there and work on them reasonably because we had so much rain,
Yeah.
which just made them grow twice as big.
Yeah. The last 2 summers here in Minnesota, in my area, have been so hard for gardening. Like 2 summers ago, it was rough. My husband had to plant tomatoes 3 different times because they just died. Plants just died.
Oof.
And everybody kept coming up to him at the farmer's market and saying, are you going to have tomatoes this year? Because we had a beautiful crop the year before. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, I don't know, guys. I will let you know when I know.
We had a really great tomato harvest like 3 years ago. And then I've barely had a tomato since then.
Yeah, it's been hard.
I finally, have you ever heard of the spoon tomatoes?
No.
I get them from Baker Creek. Well, I don't buy them anymore. They just come up everywhere.
Uh-huh.
But they're these little tiny tomatoes about the size of a blueberry. And that's how big
Okay.
they are when they're fully ripe. And they are so sweet. And those I'll get quite a few of ripe. And those are nice. I like to just kind of like, when I work, I like to munch. Like it just kind of
Yep.
keeps my mind, I don't know, locked in or whatever. And so it's great having these little tiny tomatoes that I can munch on.
Mhm.
But when they don't all get ripe, when they're kind of in that spot, like they're past the hard part of being a green tomato, but they aren't quite a ripe tomato yet, I'll pick those all at the end of the season and I'll do refrigerator pickles with them.
Oh, yum.
And basically just big old jars in my back fridge of refrigerator pickles that's all these little tomatoes. And they are so good. Like we put them on salads, we have them on the side of stuff, and they taste almost like a fermented tomato, but then they're not fermented, they've been in the fridge.
Okay.
And they're really like little salty, yummy. It's like having fresh salty tomatoes all year long.
I'm gonna have to look into that variety because I think my husband would love to plant some of those.
Right. I did it with some bigger ones that were starting to turn, and they were pretty good too.
Yeah.
When they were thicker, though, they kind of tasted like a green olive, which I don't like. So, but my husband liked them.
I love olives. I love green olives. I love Kalamata olives. I freaking love olives.
So yeah, I mean, doing like the bigger, like the large cherries that are still on the greener side rather than the starting to, like the yellow side.
Yeah.
Um, I did just a simple refrigerator pickle recipe with them, and they taste just like green olives.
Have you done pickled radishes? Do you like radishes?
I haven't. I'm not a huge radish fan. My husband likes them, but he likes them fresh. So,
Okay. Well, there's a recipe that I found for basically a quick pickle radish,
hmm.
and it's mirin and honey and I can't remember the rest. For sure though, mirin. Oh, white rice vinegar, mirin, honey, and sliced up radishes.
Hmm.
And you just basically slice the radishes up and pour that mixture over them and let them sit for about half an hour. And it is such a refreshing little side dish if you're gonna have like a steak.
Oh, yeah. I do something like that kind of with cucumbers. My mom and grandma used to do it.
Yeah.
But basically, they would just mix up fresh Italian dressing,
Mhm.
like with red, white, and vinegar and that type of stuff. And we'd put fresh cucumbers and like onions and stuff like that in it. And
Yep.
just let it sit while we're cooking dinner and then serve it with dinner.
Yeah, it gives you that acidic zing taste to clear the palate, I think.
hmm
So,
So, what was it like kind of diving into gardening full time? Like for us, we have kids that are helping us, but we're also running businesses. So we need everybody like hands on deck. I, and I kind of the long-winded question. I live in an area where a lot of retired couples move to start their homesteads. So, what is that kind of like homesteading without a whole family?
well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the gardener. My husband
Oh,
is the gardener. And our youngest lived with us for the first 3 or 4 years that we were here. So my husband had a buddy to help with the stuff in the garden.
that's nice. Definitely the hard work of putting a garden in, having an extra set of hands for that.
Yeah, and it was good timing because nothing had been grown where the garden is in over 40 years. So it was
Ooh,
just weeds and grass.
yeah, that's a lot of work.
Oh my God. Kody, that first summer was rough.
I am sure.
It was a lot. And I looked at my husband that fall and I said, "So you still want to keep doing this?" And he was like, "Absolutely." And like feet planted in the ground, I'm doing this. I am
Oh,
Groot.
that's awesome.
And so my husband, it's his zen place.
hmm
It's where he is happiest, where he's most content, and where he feels productive.
I get that because I always had a black thumb, and then my husband had never grown up around livestock. where I did, and
Mhm.
he always had gardens. And in this house, and the way, because when we moved here, I was very pregnant and on bed rest and issues and stuff. So he took right over with the livestock. And that first spring, I had a small baby where I need to be close to the house. And even though I was like, I baby wore him most of the time, I found it was easier for me to start the garden and him to work the livestock. You can't really work cattle when you're wearing a baby. I mean, you can, but
Mm,
you don't want
but
to.
gardening's probably safer. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just turned into I'm the gardener and he's the livestock guy. And on big livestock work days, or, we're making big changes or something, of course, I'm up there like, you know, elbows deep with him. And when I'm gardening, he helps me get the gardens in and bring in all the soil and that type of stuff. But then the maintenance of the garden and starting all the seeds is all me.
Mhm.
And it's turned into like that's my quiet place and my happy place. And the kids know if they come bother me in the garden, I'm gonna make them weed so they don't come bother me, and I get to listen to a podcast or a book. And right where my garden is, I can see all the kids while they're playing. And then sometimes my daughter, she's 17, she's learned if she comes out there and helps me pull weeds, she gets to just listen to whatever she wants to listen to, and no one's gonna bother her.
Mhm.
And that's kind of become our thing.
Yep. I the first 2 summers I would try to help, and I'm a chatty patty. I really am. I talk a lot. It's ridiculous. And and I would be like, "So, what are we putting here? How does that work? Why are we doing it this way? My dad used to do it that way." And my husband would put up with it, but I could tell that he was just like, I really wish you'd go find something else to do so I could just have some quiet. So I kind of just backed off and was like, the garden is your baby.
That's nice.
And
My
if
husband kind
you,
of has this way of where he wants all the answers, but he asks everything in a very like abrupt, questioning way.
Mhm.
He's like, "Why would you put tomatoes here?" And I'm like, "Well, because," and then I feel like I have to like defend myself. I'm like, "Well, because that's closest to the trellis and blah 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 blah," like, and I am going through this whole like I have to defend myself, and he's like, "Oh, okay. I didn't understand that, and I that's a really good idea." And I'm like, and it ends up like making us where we're like not communicating by the end of the evening. So,
yeah, yep. And I get it because my husband gets snippy with me because I'm like, are we going to grow potatoes again? No. Why are we not growing potatoes? And he's like, well, because it's not really worth it because they take up too much space, da 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 da. And there's no guarantee that we get potatoes, even though the tops of the plants look really good. And I'm like,
uh-huh.
yep, you're right. And he just, I think that he feels like I'm trying to direct his gardening traffic, even though it's just that I'm wondering what he's planting.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
So I have just stepped away. I'm like, I'm going to go do the podcasts because they're fun and I'm good at it. You do the thing that you like to do that's fun and you're good at it. And then we can share stories later.
That makes sense. My husband says that podcasting was the best job I could have ever thought of for myself because I get to just talk to someone other than him all day.
Uh huh. Exactly. I was losing my mind the first couple of years we were here because we moved during COVID. We moved in
Mm,
August of 2020, and no one was getting together with anybody until the fall of 2021 at the
right.
earliest. And I was like, I wanted to move away from people, but I didn't want to, live in a figurative cave.
Yeah. And you guys had, I mean, even rural had it a lot worse than we did here in Idaho because we kind of just said, that's a nice suggestion and went
Mhm.
about our lives. But
Yeah, and the thing is, I didn't stay away from people because the government told me to. I
hmm
stayed away from people because I didn't want to take the chance on getting anyone sick.
yeah.
And I didn't want to take the chance of getting sick because my husband actually worked for a company where he was outsourced to hospitals to work on
Ooh,
printers
yeah.
and fax machines. So he was exposed all the time.
Yeah.
So it
Well,
was
my
it was a
husband's a
choice.
first responder, so we all got COVID because, we're first responders in a rural community.
Yeah.
And he got to the neighbor's house, who were friends of ours, and the 93-year-old grandfather had COVID and had collapsed on the floor. And they were afraid we're 45 minutes from the ambulance.
Yeah.
So my husband just loaded him up in the truck and drove him to town.
Oh my goodness.
And we all got COVID. But you know
Yeah.
what? He ended up living for like 4 more years, so it was worth the whole thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. But again, I mean, that's awesome. And congratulations on having a wonderful person as a husband. But but I just made the choice of, okay, I'm just gonna try to talk to my friends through messages and on the phone and not be in anybody's presence.
Yeah.
And it worked. It was fine. And the thing that was hard is that I was so excited about having finally moved to a 3.1 acre, quote unquote, homestead. It really wasn't a homestead, it was a piece of land.
It's plenty
And
of room.
and we were learning and we were changing things and it was a blank slate and I was so lit up with nowhere to go with that energy.
Oh, yeah.
And so back 2 years ago, my youngest was going to move out and he was the last kid at home. And I was like, I need a project because empty nest syndrome without a project is going to suck lemons.
That's
And
for sure.
I said to my husband, I said, I think I want to start a podcast. And he said, that's weird because you are shy and you don't like the sound of your own voice recorded.
Oh, no.
And I said, yes, this will be a challenge for me to get over those things and maybe do something good. And he was like, what do you want to do? And at the point I floated it, I had no idea what I wanted to do with it. I just wanted to do the project. And so he said, keep throwing ideas at me until you figure it out. I was like, okay, because he's like that. He's like, I'm going to support you, but you have to tell me what you want to do.
Yeah.
So after like 30 or 40 not great ideas, I woke up one morning and I was like, oh my God, I think I know what I want to do. And he's halfway through his first cup of coffee. And I was like, are you awake enough to hear something? And he was like, yeah. And I said, I think I want to do a podcast having conversations with other homesteaders, cottage food producers, and crafters who need to be promoted, need to get their voices out in the world. And he was like, that is brilliant. Do that.
That's a really good mission to have.
So I had no idea how to do a podcast and I learned through Google, and Google is a
Yeah.
grand thing, and
I
learned
think
that
I paid $27 for a podcast, how to start a podcast course online.
I didn't even do that. I just did everything I could find for free and went, it's all software. I can do this.
I was still kind of in that like place where I need a checklist, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I found a really great checklist. And then from there I figured it out pretty well and have gone far beyond that. But I didn't even know where to start. I didn't know anybody who had a podcast. I'd never even listened to a podcast.
Yeah. People who know me know that I am not outgoing. I am not gregarious. I am shy. I have I have severe social anxiety. And when somebody said to me, why did you decide to start a podcast? I said, well, there are people who really like watching cats clean themselves on YouTube. I said, I
Right?
thought maybe I could do better than that.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen weird things out there that people watch.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I had learned in the couple of years that we were here before I did the podcast that marketing is not an easy thing for people to do who don't know about how to market themselves.
Yeah,
I was like, I can
that
let them talk.
right. And that's a big one. I mean, I really threw myself into it, and oddly enough, I'm a little bit of an extrovert myself. And then I go to these events where I have to talk to 2,000 people in a weekend, and my husband's like, "Why? Why do you do that?"
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because I know where my place is in that conversation.
Yes.
I'm selling something, I'm teaching something. It's not like I go to a party or, a barbecue or something, and I have to try to figure out how to talk to someone.
Yeah, it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, like people are seeking me out to hear what I have to say, so I already know where I stand.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and if they want information from you, you know what they're looking for,
Mm-hmm.
which makes
I
it a
think
whole
that
lot easier.
it really does. And I actually find the events to be very uplifting for myself. However, when I get home, I sometimes have to like sleep for almost a whole day afterwards. And it's less about physical exhaustion, although I'm definitely physically exhausted. It's more about my brain needs that reset after, like, for lack of better words, draining my social battery.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It is. When I talk to people who really do like being with people, they're like,
Hmm.
you're so smart and you're so fun. I don't know why you don't like to be around people. I'm like, because I get around people and I do a really good job of peopling. And then 3 days later, I come up for air like, oh my God, I'm still tired from just that one time 3 days ago for a couple hours peopling.
Yeah. And I think I really learned that like my natural calling is to be a teacher, but not like a children teacher.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that.
Well, I think when people teach grown-ups, it's coaching. People think
Yeah.
of it as coaching instead of teaching.
Yeah, that's probably true. Because, yeah, I definitely, like, I teach at our co-op and I love the children and I love seeing their eyes light up. And I'm so happy to not have to do that every day of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I understand. Having 4 kids and supplementing their education because public school kind of sucks for actually teaching your kids important things. I hate to say it, but it does. I,
Well, I'm an advocate for homeschool, so.
yes, yes, I think I'm probably talking to the right person. But the kids would come home and I'd be like, okay, let's take that stuff you learned on fractions and use it and make cookies.
Yep. Well, I say that all the time. I mean, you're going to learn so much more doing the repetitive, like starting loaves of bread every day than doing a repetitive worksheet every day.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that daily making bread, you're going to easily be able to be like, and this is the same process when I make cookies. And oh, turns out this is the same process when I'm mixing fertilizer for my garden. And, it just kind of goes down the road where when you're doing those worksheets, there's nothing else that compares to that besides another worksheet.
Yeah, and worksheets are boring.
Uh-huh. Although I'm kind
I
of a nerd. If somebody handed me a worksheet today, I'd probably do it.
I don't think I would. I did a lot of those. I'm kind of over it. Um, I need your help, Cody.
Okay.
I
Yes.
am trying so hard to keep myself busy with podcasting and things that don't have me in the kitchen right now
Mm-hmm.
because the only reason I ever make a cake is because I want the batter.
So yummy.
And I really want to make a chocolate cake for chocolate batter, and the last thing I need is to eat spoonfuls of chocolate batter. So tell me that I just need to not make a chocolate cake right now.
Do you really want me to tell you not to? Because I'm always the one who's like, if you're walking around the kitchen, you earned the calories to eat the chocolate cake.
If somebody brought me chocolate cake batter, I would eat it. If someone brought me a slice of really good chocolate cake, I would eat it. But I think that making a chocolate cake just because I want 2 spoonsful of batter is a little silly.
Why don't you put some chocolate protein powder and some yogurt?
Because I don't have either of those things in
Oh
the house
no.
right now. I might just make a chocolate cake this weekend. It's supposed to be really nice weather, and my husband is going to be outside doing gardening-ish things. I might just make a chocolate cake this weekend and be like, here, you worked hard this weekend. Have some chocolate cake.
We always do, like my daughter and I like to bake, and we're both really good cookers. We're both really good bakers. And we can always like, think outside the box and all the great things. But everything we bake turns out like lopsided.
Huh.
And it's not because our oven is lopsided. I think we are lopsided.
But does it taste good?
It tastes amazing. So we always say ugly but yummy.
Hmm.
I was like, we should like literally write a cookbook called Ugly But Yummy and just have like the ugliest baked goods with like the younger children eating them all over their face.
You need a t-shirt with a lopsided cake on it. This is ugly but yummy on it.
There we go. Because yeah, her and I are writing a cookbook, and she's like, "How are we going to write a cookbook when all of our baked goods turn out sideways?" I was like, "We'll use stock images for our baked goods."
I think you should just take photos of what you cooked and make people happy to know that it doesn't have to be perfect to be yummy.
That is probably true because our food's good. And I always teach people when like, get your kids in the kitchen and get them working. And who cares if your tortillas don't hold meat? You can dip it in the meat.
Well, I think that perfection is the enemy of aspiration, and I think that comparison is the thief of joy. So I'm all for ugly food that tastes good.
Sounds good. Um, so we had talked, actually we were on Mary's podcast last week. So if you guys get a chance to check that out, I will be sure and link that in the show notes. We talked about you looking at quail. So you guys now are doing like your podcast, your garden, and you're looking at doing some quail as well. And then you sell that at the farmer's market. That sounds so fulfilling. Like, are you planning on expanding or?
I don't know. I really don't know.
That's okay.
I have some stuff going on with my back, so I am not quite as mobile as I would like to be.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I gotta get that figured out. And I've been told that it is minor arthritis. And I'm like, what do you do about minor arthritis?
Right, that's silly. I mean, I have something similar. I broke my ankle several years ago, and then it was an avulsion fracture,
Yeah.
and I re-rolled it last winter, and I think that I re-chipped that avulsion off. And so I went in for an x-ray, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you did re-chip that avulsion off, and now you have bone spurs in your ankle and blah blah blah." And then there's like use arthritis or something, and they're like, "So like you can get surgery." And I'm like, "But is it still gonna hurt all the time?"
Yeah, my mom and my mom's dad, so my grandpa, both have a genetic thing with their backs.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, so is this mild arthritis or is this what they have and had? So
Yeah.
I got to get that figured out. And supposedly the only fix for it is back surgery. And the thing that I've seen about back surgery is a absolute last resort because it doesn't really work anyway.
Yeah, my husband's had several. And
So I'm trying to figure that out now. And my husband is gonna garden until he keels over in the garden of a heart attack. That he's going to garden until he's dead.
well, that's a better place to do it than other places. So,
Yes. And we don't really have room for animals. I feel like if we had animals, we don't have anywhere for them to graze, which means that we would have to be buying feed.
yeah,
And
I get it.
I don't want to buy feed.
Yeah. Pigs are a good
So,
one for small property and chickens.
well, we have chickens. We already have chickens,
Nice.
but we're really looking into the quail thing. And thank you for sending along the course, the
Yeah,
online course that you
absolutely.
set up
I
because it's great.
I really enjoyed raising quail. Like we've done it, commercially, at our level, but my husband and I want to build a quail hutch for our front patio
Uh-huh.
and just have a handful there. Like even if we're raising a bunch like out in the shop or the garden or not garden, the barn or whatever, we want like our favorites that we can just sit there and watch them like coo and jump around and be quail.
Entertainment.
And they're very
Hmm.
relaxing.
Yep. Well, we don't want them for entertainment. We want them for eggs and meat if we do it.
Well, and we don't have any right now, but we kind of go in our seasons of life on that one. And I love them for eggs and meat, but I actually genuinely enjoy them too.
I keep hearing that from people that they're very sweet little birds. So maybe
hmm
there will be that part of it too.
Very possibly. I mean, I think you'll find that they're just enjoyable. Like I used to go to the barn almost every day just to spend time with my quail.
It's funny because I am not really a fan of chickens. I don't like touching chickens.
I don't like birds in general.
Yeah, but I do love that I can see the chicken run from the house.
hmm
And especially when I come up the stairs to do a podcast, there's a window at the landing at the top of the stairs, and it looks
Mm.
out toward where the chickens are. And they're always out there doing something silly or something stupid. And if the window's open, I can actually hear them talking to each other.
Oh, that's fun.
And so I always have to stop and look out the window to see what the chickens are doing and to see if the barn cats are playing before I come into my room to start a podcast.
Oh, that's nice. I'm lucky enough. I have two windows that look in two different directions on my property from where I do my podcast, so I don't feel trapped.
Yeah, I have two big windows behind me and I have a little tiny window to my right. So there's always natural light in here, which is
Hmm.
nice. But uh but yeah, we have chickens and we love the chickens. We love the fact that we always have eggs. I mean, even if we don't have enough to sell, at least we have enough to make things with.
Yeah, that's usually about where we're at. Like we can always feed us,
Yep.
and then other times we can either sell or store. So, something that we were talking about is we're kind of getting like closer to the end of our
Mhm.
time, but something we were talking about is how important it is for everybody to just understand some real basics of home cooking.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's hard because I feel like you and I are probably both people who have been raised doing that, although I definitely had a learning curve when my husband got sick. But what would be some advice you have for young moms or even like retired moms that, or, women that are like, okay, now suddenly I'm trying to do this for the first time?
My advice is that humans are incredibly talented, smart people.
Mm-hmm.
If you can balance a checkbook, which I guess doesn't happen anymore, maybe that's a bad
Yeah,
example.
I guess that's true.
If you can make a pitcher of flavored water, like with the powder stuff, like
Yep.
Kool-Aid,
If you can like, run your coffee pot.
you can cook.
Yep.
And really, what it comes down to is humans love convenience. It is more
Yep.
convenient to stop and pick something up on the way home that is already made than it is to come home and have to cook because people think that it takes at least an hour from beginning of making dinner to sitting down to eat. It's not true.
No,
You
it's
can
not
do
oh, sorry.
you can do dinner in 20 minutes from start to eat.
Hmm. Especially if you have a few other routines in place where anything that takes a little longer is already done.
Yes. What it comes down to is when people are like, I don't have time or I don't know how, it's usually I don't want to.
Yes, I agree
And that's okay.
100%.
If
And
you
people
don't,
say, like healthy food or whole food is too expensive. Like it's not, it's just more work.
yeah, if you don't want to learn to cook, that is entirely up to you. But I will tell you, there is absolute satisfaction in learning to cook, especially when you cook for your friends. They eat the food you made and you watch their faces light up because it's the best thing they've tasted in forever.
Because it's way better than anything you're picking up at the store or
Hmm.
I have to eat on the road a lot. Like it's just not possible to be eating anything other than road food.
Yeah.
And nothing compares to what we eat at home. I mean, sometimes we'll really like, oh, let's treat ourselves and go out for a steak dinner, after an event or something. And it's just not as good as anything we do at home.
It never is.
And it costs $150.
Uh-huh, which is really, really hard to swallow, huh? Um,
Right.
no, my advice is just try. If you want to cut your grocery bill in half, if you want to eat things that are made from ingredients and not chemicals, just try to learn to cook some meals at home.
Like pick one and be really good at it.
Yeah, start small, dream big.
Yep, I absolutely agree. So, something I ask all my guests, when at the end of the show is what does keep growing mean to you?
Everything. It means everything to me. And
Mm,
I'm assuming that you're talking grand scale, growing yourself, growing your home, growing your garden, growing your critters, growing your kids.
it's whatever you want to assume it to be.
Yeah, everything. Growing. If you're not growing, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I couldn't agree more with that one. I always love that question because Most people have a very similar beginning answer, and their follow-up statement is, you know, like it's thought altering, you know?
Hmm. Yep. Can I do my public service announcement, Kody?
Absolutely. That's where we were heading next.
Okay, my public service announcement is if you are a human being in America right now, get to know your local growers and producers, get to be friends with them and support them, buy their stuff because the supply chain doesn't just go down because of COVID, it goes down for many reasons. If you know your local growers and producers, you have everything you need.
I agree. I honestly think our people don't realize how much our supply chain is even down at the moment. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yep.
do you want to tell everyone where they can find you and where they can follow your podcasts and everything you're doing?
My podcasts are A Tiny Homestead and Grit and Grace in the Heartland. And if you type those into Google, it will come up, I promise. They're both on Apple because I know everybody likes Apple. So,
Well,
um,
wonderful.
and then Facebook, it's A Tiny Homestead, A Tiny Homestead Podcast, Grit and Grace in the Heartland Women in Agriculture Podcast. Just that's where I am most of the time.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I super enjoyed this conversation. I think it just gives a really great picture into what day-to-day life can look like for homestead families.
It's just living your life and doing what you do best.
Well, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Kody.
If this episode helped you think differently about food, education, or responsibility, make sure you're following the show. Listen all the way to the end each week, and don't forget to leave a review. Agricultural education matters, and it belongs in homes and communities, not just institutions. I'm Kody Hanner, and this is the Homestead Education. Keep growing.